He is on vacation.
It's true. All right, we'll give it like 30 seconds and I'll jump in. Not even 30 seconds. How about 3.5 seconds? Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour. We are here this week. It is episode number 365. We've made one trip around the sun when it comes to episodes. That's how many days are in a year for you keeping a score at home. We are here this week with our hot take episode. We've got me, Tyler, James. We've got a special guest, but he's not here. Dynasty Rich from the Dynasty Nerds. He submitted his hot takes, but he wasn't really happy. We invited him for a holiday weekend. He didn't like the menu, so he didn't show up, and he'll explain himself a little bit later with that. But we've got hot takes. We've got some news because we are less than a week from the beginning of the season. So hopefully you've already gone in and set your week one lineups. Hopefully you did that a while ago. I think Tyler and I's best practices is we do that over the summer, right, Tyler?
Yeah, I have all my lineups submitted probably June.
I start to submit them probably around this after the rookie draft. I start to submit them because this is a hot dynasty tip for you. When you do this, you realize if you have like weaknesses at certain positions, and then it gives you a few months to make trades to beef up those positions. You're like, oh, I'm not really happy with my tight end 1, or my wide receiver 3 is not as good as I thought it was. Instead of having that a week before the season starts, you have it early in the summer. So it actually opens up a better window for you to improve your team. So that is our Get Better Dynasty tip of the week. James, you've been on the beach today. You got some sun. You look tired, man. How you doing?
Beach yesterday.
No.
I mean, I've been digging for hot takes all day, dude. I'm tired.
That shovels. I'll tell you, I'm
and it's
tired
hot,
too.
man. It was 90 degrees today, and it was like
That's
110 in my office cooking up these takes.
Yeah,
so
I got
am
back
ready
to
to go.
I got back to the gym for the first time since I broke my wrist, and I did a light workout. I did a full circuit workout, about half the weights I usually use. I felt pretty good. I am so sore 2 days later. It's not even funny. I'm like,
I went
can't,
swimming.
Straining my arms legit hurts. So
yeah, I went swimming, so I know how that feels.
Were you swimming for some hot takes?
I was swimming for hot takes, and I
Nice.
found a bunch.
You put your line out there, you're going to catch a few, that's for sure. All right, let's get into some news. We've got some pretty big things going on here to start the season. The first one was Vikings signed tight end TJ Hawkinson to a 4-year, $68.4 million contract. He is the highest paid tight end in history, I believe, or on a per year capita. The Vikings acquired Hawkinson from the Lions midway through last season, and they turned him into one of the league's most heavily targeted tight ends in the league, which was always our biggest complaint when he was in Detroit, is that he wasn't getting targeted enough. And he finished as the tight end 2 on the season. He had a career high in receptions at 86 and 914 yards, and figures to be the number 2 target in Minnesota's offense. Now, he kind of staged a little bit of a sit-in this offseason. He had like an ingrown toenail, an ear infection, runny nose.
Ingrown back hair.
Ingrown back hair. Tyler suffers from those, actually. So he sat in, but now he got paid. Tyler, you're up in Minnesota. What are you plugged in on TJ Hawkinson?
It's a deal they've been wanting to get done, and I think now that the ear infection has passed, thank God.
Thank God.
He's got
he could finally afford a doctor.
Yes, right? That was the issue. He just could not afford any health care up here in Minnesota. But it's a good thing. I know you said number 2 pass catcher, but we do have Jordan Addison still, who has been apparently comped to Justin Jefferson up here. And that is a
kind of a lazy comp, but
it is big time. But I think the pass catching weapons may may be the reason why they're not signing a running back, why they may feel comfortable about a running back. Maybe that running back is brought up tonight. Who knows?
Do you know something I don't know?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Stay tuned. We might have more news.
Did you eat Chipotle for dinner? Because you could be gassy.
I mean, I'm a little gassy, but I do not eat Chipotle. I ate some burgers. I ate lots of desserts today. There was someone brought a plate of homemade cookies, and I can't resist.
Taking the plate and leaving too.
It was Heath Bar cookies. There was a coconut one in there, mid chocolate chip, and then like a sugar cookie with M&Ms in it, and they were like about this big, so I ate about 5 of them.
Oh, here comes the review about Doug being way too hip for his age. He said mid.
No
I
cap.
have to actually Google that because I have no idea what you're talking about.
See? I'm here to bring the fresh takes and the hot flavor with the language. I'm a cunning linguist.
Fresh
as they
over
say.
40.
Yes. All right. We also have the Vikings. That running back that Tyler was alluding to was Myles Gaskin, formerly of the Dolphins. Gaskin profiles as the Vikings' number 3 back behind Alexander Mattison and Ty Chandler. The team released much hyped rookie DeWayne McBride on Tuesday. Coming off a strong preseason in Miami, Gaskin could find some fantasy relevance in 2023 if the Vikings struggle with some running back injuries. McBride, I think, was re-signed to the practice squad. Is that correct, Tyler? You would know.
Yeah, and his mother, Martina, was very upset.
And his dad, Trey, might get mentioned later. So we'll see. That's so weird. Martina McBride reference.
I mean, you're trying to be
If I'm a
hip, and
hipster, you're the opposite of that.
I'm just going the opposite
It's
way.
like a soggy mop of a
Soggy
podcast so
mop.
far. Let's go.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey,
so, yeah,
everybody
Myles
needs a
Gaskin-
soggy mop, right?
So here's the hot tip of the week from Doug. Not only was it set your lineups in June, so this move, to me, it wasn't about the Vikings getting Gaskin. It was about the Dolphins putting Jeff Wilson on IR, Devin Achane being banged up. Savon Ahmed looked awesome this preseason. He's available in a ton of deeper leagues. If you got a roster space, pick up Savon Ahmed. He's only got 31-year-old Raheem Mostert in front of him. You never know. That's all I'm saying.
And
running
Chris
back is a
Brooks,
roll of the dice.
Chris Brooks, Garth Brooks' son, is a player that you got to watch out for too.
Yeah, he has a surname. Isn't it like Chris Gaines? He also
Yes.
goes by.
Our
His
references are
surname?
so-
Everyone just
references-
turned this podcast off.
Chris
They were like,
Gaines.
emo-haired Garth Brooks, get out of here. Who are these guys? These
I
guys suck
remember
so
that.
bad.
I just remember being like, does he have a brother that we had no idea?
He was like this emo comb over, and he was all like sullen,
yes. I'm Chris Gaines. No, you're
So
Garth
bad.
Brooks. No, I'm not. I'm Chris
No,
Gaines.
Chris Gaines, you idiot. The best news of the week. So I saw this on Twitter earlier today, or X if you're trendy. And James and I, we bought the dip on Sean Tucker. He made the team. And now the team reporters are saying that Sean Tucker is the RB dose on the team ahead of Chase Edmonds and ahead of Keyshawn Vaughn. Sorry, Robbie Jeffries. How
Chris
amazing
Tucker's
is
very
this?
excited about this. His
Very
dad.
much so. Sean Tucker, the number 2 running back. We bought the dip. We were still believing in Tucker. We got him at the end of 3rd, and then he slipped into the 4th. I got him later in a draft. James, you and I were on cloud 9. We already toasted to each other before the show. What was your initial feeling when you saw Sean Tucker was the RB2?
I love it. It broadens the horizons on what we talked about on last week's show as far as these guys gaining value. Sean Tucker is going to continue to show off in a mediocre to poor offense in Tampa Bay. There's not much going around. I mean, Rachaad White, great talent. I'm not taking anything away from Rachaad White.
Potentially great
but
talent.
I was gonna say
You
is he,
need
though?
some kind of thunder to go with the lightning, and Sean Tucker can definitely do that. He has the best undrafted free agent profile out of this whole class. All right, and reason being was he was supposed to be a 2nd-round pick, or even worst case early 3rd. You know, I could see him easily taking over in Miami over Achane if he was fully healthy. But you know, the health concerns when the heart goes, that's something to be concerned about.
Yep.
Turns out he's perfectly fine, and he's turning heads now in Tampa Bay.
They called him Baby Nick Chubb in camp. So I like hearing that,
Okay.
and I'm looking forward
Baby
to see.
Chubb.
He was
kinda
my last
looks
pick.
like Nick Chubb when he
Little
runs
bit.
the ball.
He was my last pick in the Scott Fish Bowl. So of course I'm hoping that works out. And I own him, or I roster him rather, in quite a few dynasty leagues. So I am very excited about that.
All the ones except mine that we're in
Yes.
together.
Yeah, well, it was a couple that I haven't, but
Yeah, you might have
so
got me.
the Colts announced today that running back Deion Jackson is expected to start Week 1 versus Jacksonville. Jackson will get the start with Zach Moss in his forearm, likely to miss the
Gross.
opener. Evan Hall will serve as the RB2 behind Jackson. I have Deion Jackson. I picked him up last year because he looked pretty good in the passing game for the Colts after Jonathan Taylor got hurt. So I picked him up in some dynasty leagues. So cool if he gets a start, and maybe he's decent. But I mean, I'm not overly excited by it. I mean, why haven't they signed Kareem Hunt or Leonard Fournette yet? Do we know? Kareem
They
Hunt
don't need
visited
him.
them not long ago.
They don't need him.
Are they trying to quiet tank the Colts?
I mean, for
No.
who? For Marv?
For Marv, because Irsay's like, ha ha! All right, oh, his dad was on our team, and he's a Hall of Famer. I need him. I need to add him to my collection.
They lucked in the Andrew Luck when Peyton retired, so they're hoping to God that they can get Marvin Harrison Jr. on the team if they were to quote unquote quietly tank. Now, I do have a hot take about this team in general coming up, so there's a spoiler, but yeah, Jim Irsay has proven that next to Jonathan Gannon, just stay off socials and just don't talk.
Yeah, I saw our buddy Memphis defending Irsay on X the other day, and I was like,
I mean, even Pat McAfee, who's a ex-Colt, diehard Colts fan, he's even like, okay, Jim, let's just stay off socials a little bit.
I mean, here's the thing. He's like, oh, here's teammates with Jim Irsay. I'm like, he's a billionaire. Why wouldn't you want to be friends with him? He owns a ton of cool stuff, and he does cool things. Like, would I want to be friends with someone like that? Like, I'd probably hang out with him. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what Irsay knows what he's doing.
Just a final little tidbit of this news, because it is somewhat of news, because, we've been watching Evan Hull through the off season, through the combine, how he showed off, and it's obviously translated to him probably being the RB2 behind whoever else is there.
Very well could be.
And they're not really worried about the running back situation. Adding a veteran doesn't make sense because they're not a full complete team. We've saw them pretty much. The defensive line needs work. The offensive line needs work. And they have Anthony Richardson to run the ball. And I think that's going to take away some carries for the running back position in a nutshell. And I think Evan Hull is the guy you want in this backfield. He's going to be the pass catcher.
Yeah, good best ball pick if you're doing best balls, which we'll talk about here in a second. We've also got some injury news. So NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports that Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp has visited with a noted body specialist in Minnesota, of all places, Saturday to better understand his hamstring
I will not
issue.
agree or disagree. He's been to my house asking for.
I was going to say, did he show up to Tyler's house and knock on the door last night for dinner?
Did you confuse him for an Amish person?
Why?
Because he looks like one. With that beard and his face, he looks like an Amish person.
Are you eating hamstring for dinner?
Ew. Kupp reportedly suffered a setback with a lingering hamstring injury in practice this week. He'll now seek help from a specialist in an attempt to understand the issue and how to rehab. Kupp is still being listed as day-to-day, but the Rams say that could change. I'm pretty confident he's going to be missing week 1, which would pin Van Jefferson as the team's wide receiver 1. But we all know who we're looking out for, right, Tyler?
Yes, sir. Puka.
It's Puka time. He's going to play lots of snaps. I love seeing that, so I'm excited for that. But Cooper Kupp, he slid down the boards, and I'm starting to do some redraft stuff because I got a couple of redraft leagues in the next couple of days, and he's starting to slide down the boards in redraft. Other injury news, Saints head coach Dennis Allen said Kendre Miller is dealing with a hamstring injury, which I believe is the second time this preseason.
Second time and the third injury.
Yeah, so much to the disappointment of fantasy managers, Allen didn't comment on how this may affect Miller's week 1 status. If he's out, we all know Jamal Williams is there with the Kamehameha, could see an increased role on passing downs. The Saints also signed veteran running back Tony Jones to the practice squad, who's been there before. He was a hot sleeper last year. I remember using some fab on him in Scott Fishbowl.
I have not heard that name many years ago.
Tony Jones Jr., baby.
Yeah, TJJ. So keep an eye out. Obviously, Kamara is out for the first 3 games of the season over there in New Orleans. So, New Orleans is a fun place. And, I know a lot of different fun places, but one of the funnest places I go online, get your mind out of the gutter, is to Underdog. I load up their app. I look and see what's available for if I want to play best ball. My favorite way to play is to go and look at the games and do the props and pick 5-player props and do the overs and unders and try to, spend 10 to win 100 type of thing. That's what I like to try to do. David Montgomery by 2 yards would have won me like $200 last year. I totally forgot about that though. Just randomly remembered.
Yeah.
So check out Underdog. Best Ball Mania is back. You can do it. You still have a little bit more time until it closes up shop, but it's $3 million for first place. It's a $25 entry, $50 million in total prizes. Absolute insanity. If you're into football, but you also like to play baseball, that's currently going on, as well as golf. NBA and hockey will start up in October, so they'll have that as well. It's the best way to play daily fantasy. So go download the Underdog app. Yeah, tongue twisters.
Go get the op.
Yo, go download the app right now.
Do it now, you sissy boy.
Yeah, have your deposit up to $100 matched right away. It's free money. Just do it, you idiot.
That was good. That was
Yeah.
pretty damn good.
I know I got mush mouth all of a sudden. Oh, all right. So we want to get into some hot takes. But before we do, the hottest take of all, I just ordered my draft board. I have a home league, redraft league on Wednesday, the day before the season. Cutting it close, that's how we do. At least we're up to date on the injuries, so it'll be the best possible draft for everyone. I ordered my draft board on TrophySmack.com because we used him at the Scott Fish Bowl in Boston, and I absolutely loved him. There wasn't a single player sticker missing. There was no handwritten stickers, which I think is the first time that's ever happened. James is saying no.
No, I used Trophy Smack, and no disrespect, I love Trophy Smack. I've been using that for years. I could not find the Michael Wilson sticker. 18th round.
I think that's a you thing. I think it's there. You know what? When I open it on Wednesday, if it's there, I'll take a picture and I'll send it to you.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, it'll be my fault, of course.
I mean, we're husbands. We know how this is.
Yeah.
It's always our fault. So check out Trophy Smack, not only for an awesome draft board. Obviously, it's getting late in the season, but I love it because they have like little trash talk stickers. They have player stickers you can put above the team that has that player. It's a more fun experience than your standard like boring draft board. So I bought one of those this year for the first time. Personally, I used to use SaveTheDraft.com, which is also a good website, but Trophy Smack gives me the spice, and we're all about spice and hotness this week. And the hottest thing you can do for your league is to buy a trophy or a belt on TrophySmack.com. When you use the code DHH, you'll save 20%. So make sure you do that. And if you got losers in your league, we know we all got them. Someone's going to end up in last place. You can get them stuff too to make them feel more losery. So
Losery for their misery.
Yeah, losery for their misery. So we are going to roll into our hot takes. We are going to give the floor to Rich. He recorded some stuff because the menu wasn't good for him. So he wanted to send in his hot takes remotely. He's a work from home guy. He didn't want to show up in person. I don't know what's up with that, but we're going to go to Rich first. Tyler, play the clip.
Hey everyone, Rich Dotson with Dynasty Nerds. I'm so happy to be invited here to the DHH Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. I feel like I was kind of duped a little bit though, because I thought I was being invited over to the podcast for hot steaks. Turns out now that I'm here, it's actually hot takes. And I feel a little jaded by that. I'm a little upset about that. So much so that I refused to actually come in studio with, Doug and Tyler. And James. So I'm going to do this a little by myself because I'm a little upset. I really thought, it's a holiday weekend, hot steaks, really up my alley. But we're going to stay with that theme. We're going to kind of stay with that steak theme while we're here. I'm going to give you some of my hot steaks. How about that? We'll start off medium rare, what everybody kind of expects or doesn't come as a surprise when that delicious tomahawk is thrown on your plate. And I'm going to start off with my number one overall fantasy football scoring player. And outside of quarterback, of course, and that's for me, it's going to be Bijan Robinson, the rookie. And I know that's what I said, medium rare, where most people would say, okay, I can see him pretty high, but I'm saying he's going to outscore Justin Jefferson. I'm saying he's going to outscore Christian McCaffrey, any positional player outside of a quarterback. And the reason so is, with Bijan Robinson, to me, he landed in the perfect spot going to Atlanta. You're talking about a team that led the league in yards per carry as well. Their head coach, Arthur Smith, is notorious for running the football back from his days in Tennessee. And they're going to utilize Bijan in every aspect of your PPR leagues. And where he can win behind the line of scrimmage, where he's so dynamic behind the line of scrimmage, he's going to win there with a rushing ability, but he's also going to really thrive in the passing game as well. We all know as dynasty players that Bijan Robinson is absolutely electric in the passing game. He can run a ton of different routes. You can line him up anywhere in the field. And we've seen this before. Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, these rookies come out and be the number one overall scoring fantasy football player. And with a generational prospect like Bijan, I expect him to pick up right where those guys left off and be the number one overall fantasy scorer. I love Bijan. I love him in Atlanta. To be fair, I would have loved him anywhere. So that's my medium rare take.
Yeah, Bijan is the number one overall non-quarterback. I had a hot take I thought of with the Atlanta Falcons backfield. It didn't make the show, but the hot take went through my mind of, wouldn't it be something if Tyler Algier outscored Bijan Robinson?
The world would burn.
And I'm here for it. I mean, I am definitely here for that.
I love Rich's take because, yeah, I'm ready. I was telling my wife today and yesterday and the day before that I'm very excited for football season, not only for fantasy football. Last year, I was like, okay, fantasy football's here again. Here we go. But this year, I feel rejuvenated. And I think it's because Atlanta as a team is good. And I am ready for Atlanta to be good again. And when your actual team you're cheering for is good, James, you and I feel this year, it's exciting. It's more exciting.
Yeah.
Can't relate as a Patriots fan. So. Cool. Yeah, that's so. Yeah,
No,
so
I
that
agree with that.
That was yeah. I would agree. That was a good take on the steak. But I know Rich, and he is going to ramp it up on his next one. So I'm really looking forward to that. In the meantime, Tyler, let's go to you for your first hot take for the 2023 season.
Yes, I have a running back as well. And up here in Minnesota, Alexander Mattison will be a top 5 running back in 2023. Now, if you guys haven't realized, it seems like everybody hates Alexander Mattison all of a sudden. Everybody is really hoping for Mattison.
Analytics people are down on him.
It just feels like even Dynasty people I've seen like, oh, whatever. And it's like, okay, Mattison was behind Cook, and all anybody was saying, like, hey, this young kid is really good, and anytime he gets an opportunity when Delvin Cook's hurt, he's legit. And then when he gets his opportunity, it's like, he sucks, screw him. No, he's bad. It's typical Dynasty fashion, of course. That's what we do. But you know what? Since drafted, when given 15-plus touches, and let's go back to his rookie year. He 13 for 61, 2 for 3 in the pass catching, 14 for 46, 2 for 18 pass. In 2020, he had 20 carries for 112 yards, 3 catches for 24, 21 carries for 95 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 for 30 in the passing game. And in 2021, he had 26 for 112, 6 for 59, good for an RB1, 25 for 113, 7 for 40 in the pass game with a touchdown, 22 for 90, and a touchdown, 3 for 34. So you guys see a trend here. Whenever he gets multiple carries, he seems like he gets better as the game goes on, and he is a workhorse back. Now, the injuries held him off in 2022, and Delvin Cook surprisingly stayed healthy the whole year pretty much. So it wasn't just Madison last year, having injuries. It was Delvin Cook having a fantastic year again. For me, the price on Madison is still not there, but if I'm able to kind of get tear down from Saquon Barkley and get Madison plus another player or a pick, I'm willing to do that because I do think Madison will be a top 5 back. He's there for 2 years. Like that, his contract says he's there for 2 years. So I think they got him for 2 years. Maybe they give him another low end 2-year salary because he'll only be 27 when this is up. And I think they'll ride him a little bit, and it's a running back. This is what you want. You want a lower, cheaper running back that has the opportunity to be a huge success in fantasy. For me, Alexander Mattison, my first hot take, is a top 5 running back.
I dig it. I actually traded Madison away in a league to our friend Damon. So if he gets a top 5 running back out of it, good for you, Damon. I want you to have that. I'll go with my first hot take, rather, and it is also at the running back position. Now, on the show sheet, I wrote Ezekiel Elliott, but this is just as much about Ramondre Stevenson. So my hot take is that Ezekiel Elliott will score as many, if not more, fantasy points this year as Ramondre Stevenson, and I'm going to tell you why.
The whole world just exploded.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because the Patriots made it crystal clear when they traded away Pierre Strong, they cut Kevin Harris, Ty Montgomery, practice squad, J.J. Taylor, special teams guy. It is all about Stevenson, and it is all about Elliott. I think they're going to both play a lot. And I think at the goal line, which is an area where Ramondre Stevenson struggled last year, Zeke Elliott is going to be the goal line back. He scored 12 touchdowns last year for the Cowboys when he kind of split time with Tony Pollard. I still think that Zeke has juice in the tank. And I think that the Patriots offense is going to be a predominantly run-heavy one. I think it's going to be 50-50, maybe even a little bit heavier with these two guys. And I think that Zeke is going to play just as many snaps as Ramondre. I think it's going to be a 1-2 punch for the Patriots. So I won't be surprised because Zeke is competent in the pass game and he's the goal line guy that Ramondre could have 1,000 yards, right? But he could also have 3 touchdowns. If Zeke gets 700 yards and 10 touchdowns, Zeke's going to outscore Ramondre. So for me, the hot take is that Zeke Elliott is at just the same or a little bit more than Ramondre Stevenson. So for me, just based on what the Patriots rosters moves are doing, it's a clear sign for what they want to do. They're not adding, a pass catcher, this and that. They're going to roll with these 2 guys, and that's going to be it. And I think they're both going to be significant in the offense. So don't sleep on Zeke this year. And if you're a win now team, you can trade a 3rd rounder?
Probably not even.
Even for
Send
Zeke.
him a picture of Zeke with that sweatshirt on, and he looks like Oompa Loompa.
Yeah, he's in good shape. He's one of those
Yeah.
weird, he's like the old Eddie Lacy photo.
And also, kind of what I like to see, it's a weird nostalgic thing for me. I see number 15 on Zeke. It makes me feel refreshed. So maybe it makes
The old
Zeke
Ohio
feel,
State Zeke, yeah.
Yeah, maybe
It's
Zeke's
like
hey,
rebirth.
Zeke's like, I'm wearing 15. It knocks off 2 years. Maybe I get a little juice back. Yeah.
I mean, you won't have to carry the ball 250 times.
It's science.
Yeah. So that's my first hot take. Now we're off to James.
I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to start off with the quarterback. Mentioned him a little bit earlier last week on the pod. I'm going to double down, and it's Sam Howell, currently Dynasty quarterback 31, with the weapons around him. Diami Brown.
You start off with
Dotson.
Diami Brown.
Diami
Diami
Brown
first?
from UNC.
Sure.
No, the whole point is that he is going to be comfortable in this offense. He has weapons around him, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, even Diami Brown from UNC, to help him be comfortable when he has to throw the ball down the field. Antonio Gibson to help him in the mid to short term of the field. And guess what? Eric Bieniemy to line it all up just correctly. When you have a coach that goes out and says, we didn't know he was this good, that, number one, makes you look like an idiot if you're the coach, Rivera. And 2, you're really damn good. All right. So Sam Howell, first year getting the rock, I'm going to go out there and put him on a pedestal and say he's going to be a QB 10 this season, 2023. And to piggyback off that, he's going to be a QB 15 for Dynasty in 2024.
So also not to Rivera said he had no idea how good he was. Taylor Heineke legit gave up his starting spot to let Howell play because Taylor Heineke said he needs to play. He is damn good. Pat McAfee said that on his show, that Taylor Heineke legit said that to the coaches because they had Heineke on, and he said, I told them to start this kid week 18?
Yeah.
And because they had no idea. Ron Rivera was like, what?
That's scary, first of all. I like that one a lot. I am pretty decently invested in Sam Howell. So anything that's above and beyond, I want to see him have a great season. I think the Commanders team could be a lot of fun, especially with Eric sleeping with Bieniemy as their offensive coach this year. Before we get into round 2 and we get back to Rich, I did want to give a shout out to Manscaped, the best in the business at what they do. I heard an ad for them on the radio. They sold 9 million units. That's crazy. So it's good when they're selling that kind of stuff. And of course, we sponsored them, so it's good. When you use code DHH, you can save 20%. You're going to get the Lawnmower 4.0. You're going to get the ear and nose trimmer. You're going to get all the things to keep your areas looking good, smelling good, feeling good. Check out Manscaped today. Code DHH for 20% off your order. And I think they'll throw in a free pair of underwear for you too. Surprise. Keep those boys nice and supported, if you know what I'm saying. So let's get back to Rich with his steak take. Hot steaks,
All right,
number
now
2.
for my medium take. I mean, if you take your steak medium, I could live with that, right? Not a little pink, not too dark, right in the middle. And here's another little juicy steak for you. Sticking with the running back theme, I expect James Cook of the Buffalo Bills to finish the season as a running back 1. That's right. That's top 12. That's a running back 1. A lot of names he's going to have to, edge out there for that position. But I do think James Cook is in a really good position in a dynamic offense that loves to throw the football. And with James Cook, we all look at him as a pass catcher running back. But we saw in college that he can run behind the tackles. And right now, I know Damian Harrison get a lot of the goal line work, But I do expect that James Cook is going to dominate the snap count behind the line of scrimmage there for the Buffalo Bills. He'll be as close to a 3-down running back as you could see in the NFL these days, and I think he is going to thrive. I don't think he's going to dominate in the rushing game, but with the help of all the receiving talent they have, Dalton Kincaid, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, and the rushing threat of Josh Allen, James Cook is going to find some pass and some lanes to help him find success rushing the football. But I do think what's really going to put him over the edge and put him into that running back 1 category will be his pass catching ability. And we saw at the end of last year, when you look back at his last 10 games of last year, he saw about 9.5%, 10% of the total targets there. Not the last 10 games, but I think it was like the last 6 of the games, so the bottom third of the league. He saw almost 10% of the targets. And for me, that's good enough to increase his pass catching ability throughout a year if he can stay there. Just catching anywhere from 50 to 75 footballs. And that alone will propel him up high enough to be a high-end running back 2, potentially, barring what kind of injuries we see this year at the position, to be a borderline low-end running back 1. I think where it gets him the edge here, that puts him into position to be a running back 1, whether it be running back 12, 11, or 10. And we've seen this happen year in and year out, these kind of running backs. One of these guys finds himself as a running back 1, it's going to be because of his pass catching ability. It's the reason why we like guys like Jerick McKinnon this year, right? Because of his pass catching ability. If he can do what he did last year at the end of the season in Kansas City, his pass catching prowess alone could put him as a low-end running back 1, high-end running back 2. I think James Cook, with his rushing ability behind that line on that team, will get him there. And I think James Cook will finish the year as a running back 1.
James, what do you think about that?
I'm telling you, I am on page with Rich here on this take. The only thing that's different with me and Rich, Rich, he's a very successful businessman. He runs a dynasty website. Me, I only podcast. Yet, I am the chef. Okay, so when you're doing the hot take episode here at DHH, you got to put some spice on top, Rich. I love the fact that James Cook is a top 10 in Rich's take, but I'm going to spice it up a little bit more. I have him as my running back top 5, and here's why.
I love hearing that.
It's spicy.
When everybody's looking at James Cook's numbers from last year, they pinpoint the games towards the end of the season that he exploded. All right. Yes, he got a little bit more work, as Rich alluded to, 10 to 12% of the catch percentage, which is the targets. Sorry. But he has a 65% catch rate, which is great. So extrapolating some of his numbers from last year mixed in with how they utilize the running backs, I think it's more James Cook's team than everybody has believed in. And yes, I know the hype around it is growing, and his price in Dynasty is starting to creep up there. All he needs to do is have 225 carries, and he's in the wheelhouse for a top 5 running back. We already know that the passing game, the receiving game, is almost written in stone with Damian Harris behind him, with no one else really going to take that job away from him. The only thing that needs to come up is the touchdowns, and I believe he can do it. If he can get the yards per carry that he was doing, which was 5.6 yards per carry on every single one of his attempts, I mean, the sky is the limit. You're talking possibly a 1,300 rushing yard season with 50 receptions for 500 yards. Those touchdowns need to be between 6 and 8 for him to crack the top 5. And I believe he will do it this year. I think we see a lot less from Josh Allen as he starts to grow in this league. That's why they have 2 capable running backs. Devin Singletary is definitely an afterthought in this offense. James Cook is here to stay. He's my top 5 running back for the 2023 season.
I dig it.
I love it.
Yeah,
Love
we
it.
know you love it because you have James Cook in like everywhere. So yeah, I dig that quite a bit. James Cook has been the hype train has left the station on James Cook. So Tyler, that brings us back to you with hot take number 2.
I know you guys are going to absolutely love this one. Quentin Johnson becomes the true wide receiver 1 in LA.
That's bold.
at the end of 2023. No, it is a hot take. Get that. Everybody's like, oh, you hate Keenan Allen. You hate. No, this is a hot take. Now, I do like
Sure.
Quentin Johnson more than most. And a lot of people just seem to despise the guy. He has it's nothing in the middle. Like, oh, I like him. No, you either love Quentin Johnson or you hate him.
Mhm.
And Mike Williams, I mean, he's got him there. Injuries, and he has a contract next year that they can get out at a decent price in case they don't want to pay it, because they got Herbert's contract kicking in, and that is a lot of cash that they got to
Yep.
pay that man.
This will
Keenan
probably
Allen?
be Keenan Allen's last year on the team too.
Keenan Allen, he's 31. 2022 was a disappointment, and he had some injuries. Josh Palmer, hey, guess what? I heard he's ahead of him. Guess what? BC Johnson was ahead of Justin Jefferson too in 2020.
Yeah.
Let's
But
not
also,
forget that.
here's the thing about Palmer though, is that Palmer can play any of the positions in that offense, so he's versatile.
I think Quentin Johnson can too, and he proved it in the preseason. And why not the future of the receiving core be those two? Like, that would be a good receiving core for Herbert, a young core. And I'm not hating on Palmer. We all loved Palmer his rookie year, so I'm not hating on Palmer. But Quentin Johnson is an explosive athlete. I don't think anybody can deny that. The thing is with Quentin Johnson is everybody loves to hate him. I mean, TCU receivers don't work. We all seen that. Oh, they can't succeed. He's a body catcher. Oh my gosh, he catches with the body. He's the Kill Harry 2.0 per Podfather. So for me,
God.
give me more Quentin Johnson hate, because I can't wait to see this guy succeed. I heard on the Warzone, Matt Kelly say he's going to be in the CFL or the European League by 3 more years. Like, that's how bad he thinks Quentin Johnson is, and it's mind blowing. Like,
I mean, he's no Ishmael Zamora.
I'm feeling you, Tyler, and I'm one of those guys that don't really like Quentin Johnston too much. But yes, the writing is on the wall between Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Whoever decides to crap out first, kind of. I think Quentin Johnston, even though he's not listed as one of the starters yet on the team, will eventually take over one of those roles.
And he's tied to Herbert and Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore loves to throw to athletic receivers. I mean, we all seen it with CeeDee Lamb. He gave CeeDee Lamb every opportunity to be elite. And I think this is where Quentin Johnson comes in. I think, honestly, Kellen Moore may have had a big part of drafting Quentin Johnson. So, and honestly, I think this preseason he's debunked all the haters. He had one bad drop where it was a back shoulder throw, and it was a good throw. It was a sideline catch. Quentin Johnson, yeah, he missed it. It was a difficult catch. And everybody's like, see, body catcher can't catch anything. It's like, come on, guys. Like, let's wait for this guy to succeed or not succeed. Then you can kind of gloat. You guys are.
So your hot take is that Quentin Johnston is the best receiver on the Chargers
the
right
Chargers. I'm saying by the end of 2023, he will be the wide receiver 1 for the Chargers.
now. Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
We're going to move on to me. My hot take, it's a tight end related one. I saw the sheet.
Of
James
course.
got to it before me, and I swore at him again for stealing my player 2 weeks in a row. But that's fine. It's cool. Whatever.
Called Durr.
Durr was like, ooh, you did trademark this person. I said, you know what? I'll let it slide. He won't do it to me a third time. I'll
Hey,
make sure of
anytime
it.
you want to take over filling out the show sheet, be my guest.
Well, the players. I got to it late. It's fine. First come, first
more
serve.
arguments.
Yada,
All
yada,
right,
yada.
Durr.
That's
We got to
fine.
give Durr a call.
All right. So my second hot take is a tight end one, and it is that Luke Musgrave will outscore Dalton Kincaid in his rookie year. Now, I know Dalton Kincaid is the bee's knees, and everyone's all about Dalton Kincaid. Buffalo, he's the new Kelsey, this, that, and the other thing. Well, you know what? He's also the tight end 2 on his team. He also has to compete with targets with a guy named Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, who's apparently healthy, and a guy in James Cook, who's, according to everyone, is going to catch 50 to 60 balls. So, and he's got Dawson Knox, who they paid big money to. So for me, Dalton Kincaid, for Dynasty, sure, I get it. But year 1, I think that Luke Musgrave in an offense with Jordan Love, they targeted him on 30%. He had a target share this preseason. They wanted to get him work. Another hyper athlete. Yes, he's got Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed. I think the Packers are just going to be a really fun offense, and I think they're going to put up points. And I think a big beneficiary of that is going to be Luke Musgrave, and he is going to outscore Dalton Kincaid in year 1.
God, you guys are just hitting my buttons. One of my favorite tight ends in this draft. Whew.
We did it all for you, Tyler. Just
Let's
to make
keep
you
it
feel
going.
good. That's right. And we're off to James for his second hot take.
I've already 10-2.
Yeah, he did that. So we'll go to Rich. We'll do
Oh,
his-
that's right, because
Rich's
you
third.
get the cook.
You
Yeah.
guys doubled up on cooks.
All right, let's get a different steak out here in front of us and another little hot steak here. And I'm thinking, this one's a little bit medium well, a little bit a little too well done for me, a little too not delicious for me. But still, I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to feel good about it. And that's Isaiah Hodgins is going to finish as a top 20 fantasy football wide receiver for the New York Giants. This is a player, that they got over, speaking of the Buffalo Bills, from the Buffalo Bills, and from week 10 on. From that point forward, this is a wide receiver that took New York and led the team in red zone targets. He had the most touchdowns scored there. He ran a ton of routes there. He lines up on the outside, and they don't have a lot of outside receivers there in New York. They have a lot of slot receivers, but they don't have a lot of outside guys. And I know bringing Darren Waller in to the New York Giants is going to really open up their red zone target share. But if a team is going to focus on Darren Waller, it's still going to open Isaiah Hodgins, who has tremendous size. He's 6'4", 210 pounds, really good arm length there as well. And we saw this Brian Dable offense take a step forward, and I'm really excited to see Daniel Jones, who I expect to be a quarterback 1, year 2 in this offense. And we usually see a quarterback take a big step forward in their second year in their new head coach's offense, whether it be an offensive coordinator or a head coach. And I expect the same thing with Daniel Jones. And we're talking about a really good head coach here who's done very well everywhere he's been with the quarterbacks. And to do that, for Daniel Jones to succeed, he's going to need somebody to throw the football to. Sterling Shepard coming off that Achilles. We don't know how he's going to rebound. I'm a big Darius Slayton fan. He's got a lot of time to really kind of not get hurt. Wan'Dale Robinson, slot receiver here. I think Isaiah Hodgins is locked in 2 wide receiver sets on the outside there. I think his touchdowns are going to really help and propel him here. But also, look at what he did when he came into that the back half of that Giants year, which was, I think, week 13 on. So if you take him and you go through the playoffs, this is somebody he caught 34 of 44 targets for 358 yards. It's about 52 yards or 51 yards per game. But he also caught 5 touchdowns in that span. So he was averaging almost a touchdown per game. Now, I know there wasn't a lot of weapons out there in an offense, but him and that report that they were able to build with Daniel Jones, we are going to need a receiver to step up here and be the guy for the New York Giants. And I'm looking outside the box, and I'm looking at Isaiah Hodgins for the New York Giants. I think he has that kind of potential in this offense, and the big thing here is the touchdown scoring. That'll be just enough to propel him into the top 20. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a high-end wide receiver 2, but mid-range, right around there. So wide receiver 18 to 20, a mid-range wide receiver 2. I think he has that type of potential due to his size, a true X receiver. It's the touchdowns, and those are the kind of receivers that we see that kind of take those big steps forward because, when you're scoring those 8 to 12 touchdowns, that enough alone is good enough to put you at the higher end of your other classmates, or not classmates, positional skill set. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to say receivers is what I'm trying to get down to. That's what I'm trying to say here. So Isaiah Hodgins, medium well, high-end wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 2, top 20 player.
Yeah, cranking up the heat to get that steak medium well, that's for sure. That's a name I didn't expect to hear today. James, you're the Giants fan. I mean, one thing you didn't mention was Jalen Hyatt there. So that would be my only concern, is that I think Hyatt gets involved in this offense in year 1. What do you think?
I think Hyatt gets in a little bit later, and I kind of agree with his take. I like it because obviously I'm a Giants fan, and I want those outside receivers solidified. I think Slayton is actually he didn't play in any of the preseason games, the last 2 or whatever. He ran through with the ones throughout training camp. It's going to be a tough one to slam down this Midwell steak, but hey, you know what? It makes sense for this episode. It's definitely a hot take, and I think I want to just go out and get some Isaiah Hodgins after it.
I've got a lot of him.
I was able to pick him up for free. The best
Tyler
kind of
just
steak
winning
is a
in
free
all
steak.
these hot takes today.
I am loving this episode.
I know, right? So, well, keep the love going, Tyler, because you are up next with your third spicy hot take.
All right. Now this is a tight end going in Doug's alley. Trey McBride will be a top 7 tight end in 2023.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, they are dragging the corpse of Zach Ertz out in the field whenever he's healthy. And I don't know how
He
that's
might
going to
not
be.
be far behind his wife in retirement. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Weeks 10 and on, he had a 70% snap percentage, which is great. And weeks 14 to week 17, he had 22 targets, 17 catches, 191 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, I think it was week 17 or 18, he blew up. He had a really good week, and he finally solidified himself in that offense. And let's not forget, he was tight end 1 in his rookie year, 2022?
Just last year, yeah.
Yes. And he was a 1,000-yard receiver in college. So he was a massive producer in college at Colorado State. And guess what? If you buy him now for dirt cheap and he produces like a top 7 tight end, like I'm saying, next year, you could have Caleb Williams throwing him the ball, which is a game changer.
Much better than Clayton Tune, who's
Yes.
probably going to be the starter now, which is great if you picked him up in Superflex leagues. He gets some value. Or even Josh Dobbs. That's going to be a massive improvement.
Yeah, so Trey McBride, Martina McBride's son, will get his opportunity. And a top 7 tight end is what I'm saying here.
I dig it. My third spicy hot take is going back to the running back position, and that is Najee Harris is going to be a top 5 fantasy running back in 2023. And let me tell you why. Najee Harris played all season last year with a Liz Frank injury. Why he decided to play through it, I don't know. Maybe he's a tough guy and, wanted to prove that he was out there to help the team win. Everyone has been talking all summer. All I've heard about is Jaylen Warren. I like Jaylen Warren. I think he's a fun player. Could they split with him and Najee? It could happen. But I think that this Pittsburgh offense is going to take a leap under second-year Kenny Pickett. Their touchdown regression is going to hit positively. We're not going to see Deontay Johnson have 0 touchdowns again. And I think a big benefactor of that is going to be Najee Harris with more opportunities at the goal line. Look, Jaylen Warren isn't going to take goal line carries away from Najee Harris. Najee Harris can catch the ball out of the backfield. And I just think he's going to be more explosive than he has been in the past, even though his longest career run is only like 27 yards or something like that. So I think that Najee Harris, because he's a guy that can touch the ball 300 times, which is rare in today's NFL, I think they mix in Warren a little bit, but I still think they're going to lean on Najee. So let's go like 300 carries for 1,200 yards, 40 receptions for another couple hundred, and let's do a double-digit touchdown for season for Najee Harris. Maybe he's the guy that finishes with 15 or 16 touchdowns this year because Pittsburgh is a lot better on offense. I could definitely see it, and that would make Najee Harris a top 5 running back. I can see it in my crystal ball. So that is my third bold, spicy hot take.
All right, I'm going to jump right in here, and it's time to hit the sky, baby. Wide receiver, dynasty wide receiver.
Without James and this guy.
47, Sky Moore. All right.
Sky's the limit.
The sky is the limit. Thanks. And I believe the sky cracks the top 24 wide receivers this year and comes back and just takes over the dynasty world and solidifies himself as the wide receiver 1 for Patrick Mahomes. All right. It's not Kadarius Toney. He's in, he's out. He can never get consistency on the field. I think he is a, would we use the Greg Dolchik term, joker player or on the field? That's Kadarius Toney. Okay.
The joke's on you if you own Toney.
And MVS is not it. I am sorry. I know he had a couple games last year where he flashed, but there are a lot of Juju Smith-Schuster targets that are going to be eaten up by Sky Moore. I don't understand how we do it without it. Like,
is this an evergreen hot take from year to year for you, by the way? I'm curious.
I mean, I'm going to double down. I mean, obviously.
James is ride or die in 2023.
2024, I'm talking. Are we going to hear his name?
Next year is 2024.
And Sky Moore, at the end of 2023, Sky Moore will be a dynasty top 24 wide receiver.
Can I trademark that now? 2020 more?
2020 more.
2020 more?
James' hot take. I know he didn't reach top 36 last year, but 2024.
I got one of those for a quarterback too. If you
now, James, I know you listened back to the hot takes last year.
Always do.
Did you have a Sky Moore hot take? Because I swear,
no, I did not. No,
I swear there was something about Sky Moore because
I think this is his Evan Ingram this year.
Doug and
Nope. Nope.
we laughed at you for Evan Ingram, so this could be it.
Yeah, you guys really ate some serious crow on that one.
And yes, we did.
And
Yes.
like we ended the episode on, oh yeah, James, we're going to be talking about that tight end 5 Evan Ingram take for
You
a
know,
long time.
A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then.
Yeah, maybe I'll find one again with Sky. More, write it down. Top 24 dynasty wide receiver.
All right, I dig it. So that brings us back to Rich for his next hot take.
Speaking of, let's stay here for a minute. The medium well here. It's a big steak. It's not one of those filet mignons. It's kind of a little tomahawk steak, and we're gonna stick with that kind of wide receiver 2 range. Somebody who I think will go finish higher than top 20. Somebody who I think will finish top 18, and that's Elijah Moore of the Cleveland Browns. This is a player when he was coming out of Ole Miss that us at Dynasty Nerds absolutely loved. We gave him a first-round rookie draft grade. We loved his route run ability. We loved his speed. And most of all, we loved his hands. This was a player that was like the Vlad Guerrero of football. I mean, he was catching the football on the ground, like an inch above the ground, all over the place. An absolutely dynamic football player. And the Browns are going to line him all over. We've seen him here in Cleveland, whether it be practice or preseason. They're lining him by the backfield. They're lining him in the slot. They're lining him about wide. So he's going to be a really good player that the Browns are going to manufacture touches for. And I believe in the tape and I believe in the skill set that the New York Jets were never able to get out of this player. We saw a very small window of what he could do at the back end of his rookie year. I think the Browns are about to shake up that champagne bottle, and the cork is going to go ahead and pop itself. He's going to explode this year and really take a big ADP jump. We're going to see him get manufactured touches behind the line of scrimmage. We're going to see him probably lead the team, second in the team in targets. He could flirt with Amari Cooper when it comes to fantasy football production. He's too dynamic not to be a fantasy football asset. And the Cleveland Browns this year do plan on changing their offense. They're really going to open it up for Deshaun Watson. A lot of empty sets behind the line of scrimmage. They're going to throw the football more than they probably ever have since coming back to the NFL since 1999. And one of the main products of who's going to really capitalize it here is going to be Elijah Moore. He's somebody that I'm snatching all over in Dynasty, even in redraft as my wide receiver 4. I think what's going to be nice about Elijah Moore, well, not only he'll be consistent, I'll have some big games as well, but I think he's going to be really close and consistently getting you double-digit points. And those are the players that always sneak up on you as high-end running back, wide receiver 2s, running back 1s, or running back 2s. Those guys that they don't come out and have those big 35-point games or 29-point games, but week in, week out, they're scoring you anywhere from 8 to 16 points every single week. And before you know it, the year's over, and there's Elijah Moore sitting there with a bib on, just got done eating a steak as wide receiver number 15 overall. And he's very satisfied, about as satisfied as you will be as well by going and training for him or drafting him. And speaking of the Cleveland Browns and an offense open up, speaking of medium well, hot steaks, I think Deshaun Watson's going to get back to a top 5 overall fantasy football quarterback in the NFL. I think he's going to take a big jump in his ADP. He's still going really pretty relatively high. He's going anywhere from the mid-second round to the back end of the first round, high second round. I think this is going to propel him back into the first round of super flex startup drafts. Where Deshaun Watson wins is not only with his arm, which is what he's done at every part of his development at quarterback, whether it be high school, college when he was at Clemson, being Alabama, going to back-to-back national championship games, coming in as a rookie in Houston with a team full of scrubs. I mean, TLC knows all about him. They want nothing to do with Houston. And out there, what he was able to do is lead the NFL the last time we saw him play a full season in yards thrown. This offense is going to take a big step forward. The Cleveland Browns are in a Super Bowl window, and at the same time, they got to prove all the naysayers that they were right by making this trade and that they invested in the right quarterback for their future. This offense is going to be opened up. We're going to see a lot of no running back sets out here. They're going to be running 3 wide with David Njoku and Jordan Akins even at times on that offense. And I think Deshaun Watson is going to be in position to throw for a ton of yards. And then when we see these quarterbacks that do throw for a ton of yards, that does equate to a lot of fantasy football potential. But where Deshaun Watson can also win is with his legs. And he's a very athletic quarterback, and we saw that in Houston. His is somebody who's going to average anywhere from 30 to 40 yards per game, which is kind of put him in that mold of that Daniel Jones quarterback. And we saw what Daniel Jones did it with it last year. Finished as quarterback number 9 or 10. I can't remember exactly in that range right there. I think Deshaun Watson is going to throw for more yards than Daniel Jones, and I think he's potentially going to run the ball for more yards than Daniel Jones as well, which is going to get him above that running back, quarterback 9 overall. I think he's going to get enough yards, enough touchdowns, enough rushing yards to get back to what he was before he got a little handsy out there, and what he's going to be is a top 5 fantasy football quarterback.
Well,
Let's
if
move
anybody
on to the well done take.
Nice. So if anybody knows the Cleveland Browns, it's Rich. I believe he's a season ticket holder. He sounds very hyped on Elijah Moore. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone remembers that 4 to 5 game stretch he had in his rookie season where he was a wide receiver 1 in that span and looked amazing. Then he goes to the doghouse, so we want him to be redeemed in year 3. Tyler, we were just talking about Deshaun Watson. I know
twice.
A lot of people are bullish on Deshaun Watson. I don't know. Like, there wasn't very good reports out of training camp that he looked good.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical.
Yeah, me
on
too.
Deshaun Watson.
I had him in 2 leagues for sure, and I traded him in 2 leagues. I actually traded for the aforementioned Daniel Jones and Bryce Young, and of course I gave up some other things on my side, but I made a big trade. And then in another league, I had him, and I didn't have security at my second quarterback. And you know what? I wanted to diversify my bonds, Wu-Tang style.
Financial, that's right.
And
Again.
I got my first Tua share. I was kind of pumped about it, so I did 1 for 1. It was both of us were like, screw it, let's do it. Watson for Tua. I felt comfortable with it as Tua stays healthy. I think he outscores Watson just due to the offense. So I was happy about that. So I think I don't have any Watson shares, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I bought super low. You know how I do with players like this. And then as it has
but not Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah,
Flip
his
it on the
value
dip.
Yeah.
Flip before the dip.
I won't do it with a running back, but
No, I know.
anybody else.
All right. Well, yeah, that was a good one. Very Brown-centric, which makes sense because he's
Oh,
located
yeah, he
in
knows.
that
If anybody
area.
knows, it's him.
It's him for sure. So, Tyler, let's get to your next one.
All right, speaking of hometown heroes, I'm going to go Drake London becomes a top 5 dynasty wide receiver in 2024,
I love this one.
according to ADP. Now, I looked at it, and you got Garrett Wilson up there. You've got Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and there's one other one that was up there. And I'm like, he could hit top 5. I'm almost oh, CeeDee Lamb was 3. So I'm like, why can't he slide in the 5? I think it was Tyreek Hill, who's going to be 30 very soon. Jalen Waddle was up there, who's oft injured, so maybe he drops a little bit. Why not Drake London? He's wide receiver 17 on DLF right now. Devontae Adams at 16, DK at 14, rookie JSN, who I almost put in this spot, is at 15. Why can't he be above them? Last year he had 109 targets, and that's with most of it with Marcus Mariota. Now, Marcus Mariota is #bad at football.
Yikes, Mariota.
He was very bad. And in this preseason, he showed he's still very bad.
He's
Now,
very Marcus Mariota.
if you watched the quarterbacks, people felt bad for him. I'm sorry, I did not. You quit on the team. That's what it is. And you can say otherwise. You quit. You left. You didn't want to be part of it because you weren't starter. Oh, well. You were not good. Week 14, Desmond Ridder takeover. 36 targets, 25 catches, 333 yards, and 0 touchdowns. The key part of that, targets. This guy had 109 targets, and that's with bad quarterback play and with Kyle Pitts not in the field. The field's going to open up for him. He's had a fantastic preseason. Everything I've heard out of Atlanta is this guy's taking the next step. Don't forget, the big receivers are kind of a thing of the past, and he's one of the last ones that can really revamp this big receiver group. People have T. Higgins ahead of him. I think Drake London jumps him. So if you can do T. Higgins for Drake London straight up, I think I'd do it. Just due to that, you're ganging 3 years. Drake London is super young still. So give me Drake London, a top 5 dynasty wide receiver in 2024 ADP. At this time, I love it. This Atlanta offense it's going to be awesome. I'm telling you, if Ridder can be anything like Goff, this offense is going to be electric.
I dig that. I traded for Drake London in the offseason. I sent Alexander Madison and a couple $100 in Fab Bucks and another small player to get Drake London. And I asked one of the guys in the league, I said, hey, what do you think? He's like, oh, I think you overpaid. And I said, we'll see. I said, I don't think I did it all.
I know.
So I was like, yeah. I said, we'll see. I said, I value your opinion, so I wanted to see what you think in this league because I'm relatively new to the league. So always fun. My next hot take, it's another Pittsburgh Steeler. It's George Pickens. Now, I know George Pickens is the bee's knees, another player that is gaining, not ganging, a lot of steam. That's a shot at Tyler. Here in the offseason, his ADP is rising, not only in redraft, but also in Dynasty. I think he's the fourth man on the totem pole in this passing game. So I think you've got Deontay Johnson, who's the target hog. You've got Pat Freiermuth. Everyone forgets about Allen Robinson. I think he's going to be more involved than a lot of people want to realize. And George Pickens is going to be the fourth guy. So I don't think George Pickens finishes as a top 36 wide receiver. I think he's going to be anywhere from he's going to be in that 36-ish range, so like a back-end wide receiver 3. I get it. He makes awesome catches. I like the talent of George Pickens as well. I just don't think it's his time yet. I think he is going to be the classic, what we used to know as the third-year breakout, which has now been the second-year breakout, right? We've moved up a year. It's usually year 2 guys will make the jump. I think he's going to be a year 3 guy. Allen Robinson's only going to be there for a year. I think they're going to get Pickens more involved. I don't see him. He's not a great separator, but he's a decent route runner and he's got good hands. So for me, I just don't see this year as him being this hyped up machine that he's been hyped up as. If I have him in any league, I'm actually looking to move him while the hype is high on Pickens and then try to acquire him towards the end of the year when people realize or when he doesn't produce at the value that he is. So that's kind of my move with George Pickens. I just think that this year he's going to have to wait a year before he really breaks out.
So the one thing that I traded in UDPL, Doug, I had Pickens and I traded 1-for-1 for Quentin Johnson. And the thing that scares me to death with Pickens is the separation. He is one of the worst separators.
His reception perception was not great.
It's not. And honestly, in this style of league, you need explosion off the line and be able to separate in order to make better plays. Now, not every play can be a spectacular catch. It's fun to see, but he's got to find other ways to win longer the season goes in, and he's got to find different ways to win. Can he keep doing this? Maybe he's AJ Green, because AJ Green wasn't the separator, but AJ Green also did separate with his routes. So, yeah, I love Pickens' talent, but it's the separating that really has me worried.
Yeah, and like I said, Allen Robinson, I think, is going to be more of a thing.
I love the phrase that you use there. Can he continue to do it? And I'll use that as a segue into my next hot take, who is Dameon Pierce. Now, last year, 13 games, we saw him finish as the running back 28. And we all asked, can he keep up this consistency? Can he keep up the running? And the answer was no. He went down due to injury, lost some snaps. I don't think that happens this year. I think they beefed up the offensive line just enough. He is practicing on the jug machine every single day. I think he had to catch
Where
like
can I buy this machine?
100 balls. Jugs?
Oh.
I love jug machines.
Jugs machine.
He's catching jugs daily.
The jugs. You got to check them out.
Great magazine.
Well, anyway, last year he got 220 attempts. He which equated to 939 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, 39 targets through the air, not much, but yet he did have 30 receptions and over 165 yards and a touchdown. I think I'm going to double down. He's going to get the same amount of attempts because guess what? They're not going to run him straight into the ground. That's why they went out and picked up Devin Singletary. All right, Devin Singletary is a smaller back, 5'8". Dameon Pierce is 5'11", 215. He can run through the middle. He's going to get a lot of the work on the goal line. He's going to get almost all of the passing work. Those 50 Rex Burkhead targets, boom, right to Dameon Pierce. All right, I expect Singletary to get the lower share, the Dare Ogunbowale share of targets in this offense. Ogunbowale, 30 targets, possibly. I think it's the Dameon Pierce show, and no one's here for it yet. Everybody's focused around Stroud. Everybody's focused around the Tank Dell preseason hype, and they're forgetting that Dameon Pierce is the leader on that football team with a semi-backup running back in Devin Singletary. He's going to be a top 10 running back, folks, and I'm here for it.
I would like to disagree. I think a lot of people are on this. and I've heard like.
Is it not
Fulch-
hot? It's not hot.
I think the top 10 is hot, but I think there's a lot of people on Pierce at his value everywhere.
He's like one of the really good dead zone running back
He's-
targets
yes.
right now in
Dynasty-
redrafts. Yeah.
Running back 19.
So I honestly, if it
I
was,
think he lives
I
up to
do
his
think-
ADP and
I think-
overproduces that.
I think he does have a good year, but for me, when it's a running back that's a 4th round pick in the NFL draft, the second he has a massive game and his value is through the roof, I'm out. Like
There was,
that's-
Oh,
it's
it's
that's
the season. It is the season to
Oh,
be trading
100%. This is it.
Damian
This
Pierce.
is it.
I'm not going to let it roll into year 3.
And the thing is you got to figure out that game. You got to be like, okay, is it week 4, week 5, where I've drained enough, drained
You got to
enough
look at the
points for
schedule
my
and
team.
figure out when that game
Yes.
is.
Bingo. And I think there's an opportunity for
When
you
does
to
he
sell
face
big.
Tennessee?
Yeah, like
Or
there's a chance for
Arizona.
you to sell massive. Like you could
Yeah.
get 2 first-round picks for him,
Yeah.
and you could be out. But if you're contending, maybe tear down a little bit at RB, and then get that extra first.
Yeah.
I like that.
Either way, I'm getting a first for him this year.
Oh yeah,
Or
I
I'm
like-
not selling.
I like that one a lot. As someone, I was listening to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they compared him to Chris Carson a little bit, the way he runs, and I dig that. And here's I think that Damian
Thomas
Pierce
Rawls.
will be good for a few years, and then we'll see what happens because
Yeah.
of his physicality. He's
I mean,
a fun
you
player to
remember,
watch.
you remember when David Montgomery just came up out of the ashes in the 4th round and started to really look good for fantasy. He had that top 12
Mhm.
season or the top 20 season. His second year in the
Mm,
league,
yeah.
he really
was up there.
topped off fantasy production wise. I think we're at the point with Damian Pierce where he's going to get that utilization, running ball and pass catching, before they go ahead and add more pieces to this offensive arsenal that they're starting to build down in Houston.
Don't forget, but Dave Montgomery also had the feet of Saquon Barkley, the
He had
Ford Bronco of OJ Simpson.
the
hips of Barry
elusivity,
Sanders.
the elusivity of Barry Sanders.
Yeah. The butt of a Christian Okoye. I mean, whatever. All right, let's get
Yeah.
back. Let's
Wait,
get
was that
back
your
to
list?
Rich. That's my build of running back. Anyway, let's get back to Rich for his final hot take of 2023.
All right. And finally, with my well done take, the one that you don't want to touch. Nobody else wants to touch it. Doesn't look too good. It looks like a piece of charcoal. Supposed to order a steak, not a piece of charcoal. But my most well done take, because I'm still eating it. I don't care. I know under all that darkness, there's delicious meat. And I can't wait to get my tongue on it. Oh my goodness. Don't edit that out, people. We need it. My well done take is Evan Hall, running back for the Indianapolis Colts, is going to finish as a top 16 fantasy football running back. I know. Don't send it back to the kitchen. It's here. It's on your plate. We're out of steak. You got to eat it, boys, girls. We're here. Yes, Evan Hall, the Indianapolis Colts. We're talking about somebody. Let's start here. I don't think Jonathan Taylor plays another snap with the Indianapolis Colts. I think even after the pup is run out for 4 games, he's going to find a way to work himself a trade to get off the Colts. He's going to tell them he's not playing for him. He won't play for him until week 8. And even then, he might, not put in the full effort or find ways not to play or find another boo-boo. And by the time those 4 games are over with, a team's going to need a running back. Somebody's going to find themselves in position of doing better than they're not. Maybe by then Raheem Mostert should be hurt, right? So the Miami Dolphins definitely going to have to pay up there. There's going to be a run. We heard Philadelphia might be interested. Rashad Penny could be hurt. We don't know about DeAndre Swift out there. Jonathan Taylor's probably going to find a new home before he ever suits up for the Colts again. Now we're looking at Deion Jackson, Zach Moss, who we know in Buffalo and everywhere else he's been. It doesn't offer anything exciting whatsoever to a team. And with Evan Hall, this is somebody that comes in super athletic, right? Like a very, very athletic running back. And Hall is somebody, he can catch the football really well, which is what I'm really excited about. The guy like Anthony Richardson, who's been moving around well in the pocket. Anthony Richardson is one of the best pocket presence quarterbacks we've seen in a while come out of college football. He really works the pocket well, really good at avoiding a sack, and that's going to put Evan Hall in position to catch some of those passes that aren't designed to come out of the backfield. So he averaged about 3.6 catches in college. Over the last couple of years at Northwestern, he saw about 15% total of their targets. So for me, Evan Hall is somebody that I think has the potential to come out and be a fantasy football relevant running back. And when it comes to running backs, it's about staying healthy. And if you can come in week in, week out, and produce, you have a chance to finish as a running back 1. I think Evan Hall is going to be a top 16 running back. I don't think he'll be a running back 1, but I think because of his pass catching prowess, he's going to find his way into that category and be that guy because of the help of Anthony Richardson and a lot of weapons that they don't have out there. They have Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, not a lot of weapons there in Indianapolis for them to get the ball to. I think they will scheme Evan Hall into this, and as he gets a foothold, it's going to ease that pain of them trading away Jonathan Taylor, because this is a team that's not going anywhere, right? They already had – this is a team that's not in position to go win any divisions or go anywhere. This is a team that's going to be rebuilding. Let's get them Marvin Harrison Jr. next year. Let's get him a really good weapon on offense or a good defensive player. I think Evan Hall is going to come in all 5'10", 209 pounds of him, and come out and be the guy that produces out of that backfield. So if you're looking for a super hot take, or as I would say, a super hot steak, there you go. Evan Hall, top 16 fantasy football running back. Book it. I hope you guys are all stuffed. I know I am. I appreciate the guys. Tyler, Doug, having me on. It's been great. Great not talking to you, but great getting my word out. Appreciate you. Don't forget,
Yes,
check
Chef.
out Dynasty Nerds every single week and every single day. Dynasty Jam, boys and girls, we're here for you.
Yes, Chef. Heard Chef. I love it. That's from The Bear. If you don't watch that show, I've heard it's good.
That actually happens in real life, not just on.
Oh,
on
I
the-
know. I
on the Bear.
actually I went to a restaurant with my wife, and it was you sit right at the kitchen, and we heard Yes, Chef. Like,
Chef's
oh yeah.
table.
When I started cooking, it was we chef. We always
I-
had to speak in French.
French.
Yes.
So I love this take, and my UDPL team is absolutely loving this whole entire hot take episode. And if this comes, if this comes forth, I'm taking Doug down finally.
My whole UDPL team for the rest of my life is going to win #1. That's a hot take.
That is a hot take. That's hot, hot.
No, I love the take. I love the take from Rich. You know, I've been a big Evan Hull advocate since we've had Derek Brown from Fantasy Pros on this show. Like, he really opened up my eyes. I had already marked Evan Hull as someone to keep an eye on, and he's just grown throughout this preseason training camp process, and I am here for it. I am grabbing him in redraft everywhere in the last round. I definitely want him to turn out a running back 16 season to give the Colts a reason not to take a high drafted draft capital running back next year. I can see Evan Hull really putting his flag in the ground in Indianapolis as a big time deliverer for fantasy.
I dig it. Tyler, your last hot take. Make it spicy.
All right, so everybody knows I have to have a rookie hot take. It's been years and years and years since Sam Darnold, Deshaun Kaiser days. I've had a rookie hot take.
Have you ever hit on a rookie hot take?
I have not.
Maybe that's why we haven't heard one in a while.
So the over-under.
Deshaun Kaiser, after his preseason, because we did the hot takes before preseason, I actually hit when it came to preseason on Deshaun Kaiser. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much on Sam Darnold. But here's my hot take. So if the history is wrong, usually for me, all your Anthony Richardson shares are A-okay. Because my hot take, I usually don't do negative takes, but here we go. Anthony Richardson has a major struggle in 2023, while Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud jump him in ADP in the 2024 season. So everybody had Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, 1 and 2, preseason and before the NFL draft. I know James and I were there. We had Stroud and Young as the 2 can't miss prospects. Now, for me, I had a lot of red flags up for Anthony Richardson with accuracy and everything. Now, going back to Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, Richardson's quarterback 10 in ADP right now, Superflex, 14 overall. 14 overall, hasn't taken a snap.
That's nuts.
Bryce Young,
So
quarterback
spicy.
13, 20th overall. That is also very spicy. C.J. Stroud, quarterback 15, 26 overall.
I like that marinated.
That's a lot of quarterbacks in the first 26
Now,
picks. Holy smokes.
history says that 50% of these guys are going to hit. So 2 if we're lucky. The offense might struggle with a rookie coach in Indy. And the drama in the locker room with the JT stuff. I mean, they're trying to change culture, and Jonathan Taylor's kind of messing this all up, being like, okay, I know you're trying to build
And
a
the owner's
new
doing a
squad.
decent job of it, too.
That's very true. But the thing with Richardson is accuracy. Accuracy is still a major issue, even in college. Let's go back to his preseason. So preseason he was 13 for 29, 44.8% completion percentage. That is not good. I mean, 50 is bad. Under 50 is not good. He had 5-yard average per play, and that's with some major plays as well. In 2020 in college football, he had a 50% completion percentage. 2021, 59.4. 2022, 53.8. He hasn't been above 60 for completion percentage. And guess what? If we're going the Bill Parcells route, where you have to play so many games and have a completion percentage and a winning record, he played 13 games, or he started 13 games in college. Trey Lance started around that. So, I mean, if we are getting this hype train really going on Richardson, now I really want him to work out. He's a fun guy. I think he's great for the NFL. But I'm just trying to temper expectations because Justin Fields also, his rookie year was not great. People didn't believe in him. And then comes out. And guess what Justin Fields had to do to be a top 8 overall Superflex pick? He had to run his ass off over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he looks like me now.
He had to do that. And his passing still is in question. And he's a top 8. So Richardson has the ability to stay above Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. But with this offense, I think it could be a struggle. And his legs need to save him. And I think even then, his legs might not save him.
Yeah, I like that one. My final hot take is also quarterback related, and this is going to another one that Tyler's going to, I love this podcast. My
Jordan Love.
team.
Is it Jordan Love? Is it Jordan Love?
Yes, it's Jordan Love is going to finish as a top 10 quarterback this year. And Jordan Love's going to finish as a top 10 quarterback. Elmo's hot takes are here. And that's going to be because he's built for success. He's got 2 good running backs behind him. He's got an athletic rookie tight end. He's got a rookie wide receiver who I believe in Jaden Reed. He's got a dynamic playmaker in Christian Watson. And their best receiver of the offseason in the preseason supposedly has been Romeo Doubs. He's behind an offensive line that isn't half bad. They're not the best. Jordan Love is a fairly mobile quarterback as well, and I think he's going to get some sneaky points on the ground. So I would not be shocked if Jordan Love hits 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and scores 5 on the ground with another 400 yards rushing, and that would make him a top 10 quarterback. I can see it. I think offenses like Green Bay and Pittsburgh are set to really surprise people this year, and same thing with the Commanders as well. I think those 3 offenses are going to be really, really good for fantasy if you invested in them in the offseason. And Jordan Love is one of those guys that I think can make the leap and will make the leap in his first year as starter for the Green Bay Packers, and he'll help people forget about Ayahuasca Rodgers.
Love this.
Very good. Very nice. I guess that's me, right? I'm the last one up here.
You're caboosing it.
Last.
All right, I'm gonna caboose it with 2 carts. Okay, it's gonna be
All
a little touch and go here.
Like a little Thomas.
Because I want
the
to
two
double
he
down
holds.
on one of the takes that
Hey,
I
Thomas.
took last year, and that it hit.
It's his face.
It was Jared Goff being a top 10 quarterback, and sure enough, he hit top 10. All right, I don't understand why he is dynasty quarterback 24.
It's
Have you
stupid.
seen him?
It's
It's
ridiculous.
what he looks like. He looks like Thomas.
Yeah. Well, hi, I'm Tom.
Doug, if you guys aren't watching on YouTube, you needed to see Doug's face there because he was spot on Thomas. He just wanted to
Hi.
punch him.
I'm Tom.
He always
Top
looks
12.
shocked.
He's going to be a top 12 dynasty QB going into 2024. It should be that way. They're already talking about contracts, but that's not really why I'm talking about the Lions. All right. The reason why we're all here, folks, is because I label tight end 5 dynasty tight ends, and it's going to be Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is going to be tight end 5 this year for fantasy football. Obviously going later because he's a rookie. And I know, Doug, you listed Musgrave, or Tyler listed Musgrave, and there are all these nice little
I'm just
nuances
worried
of
about
a
your-
rookie tight
your health and
end.
security right now because you took Doug's guy.
Oh, well, hey, you know what? Can we share this, Doug? Can we share the Laporta love here.
Sharing
because-
is caring, my friend. Let's do this.
I mean, we share Tucker, we share Laporta, and
Yep.
I'll share the top 5 tight end hot take with you, Doug, if that makes you feel a little bit better. Sam Laporta, and this is why, guys, and there's always has to be a little bit of background on this. The tight end room last year, 66 targets or 66 receptions, 784 yards for the tight end position in the Lions offense.
12 touchdowns.
12 touchdowns. It is amazing. I'm not saying Laporta is going to get all 12 of those touchdowns. They add in Jahmyr Gibbs. It's going to cut in a little bit. All right. And they have Amon-Ra St. Brown, which undeniably a wide receiver 1 and is the highest anticipated fantasy piece on this offense. However, all Sam Laporta needs to do is have 70 receptions. That will give him 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, this is a feat that this guy has never done. He never caught a touchdown in college, if I'm not mistaken.
Iowa, that offense was absolutely dog shit.
He was the offense.
Right. He was the
I am
offense
the
when it
offense.
came to receptions, and I believe that translates well into the NFL. They were needy of a capable tight end to start on the field week after week. It just goes to show, we could see that as soon as they got rid of TJ Hawkinson, they were, we're going to throw to Brock Wright. Oh, we're going to throw to this guy. Oh, we're going to throw to that
Zylstra.
guy. Yeah. And it all worked out, even though they were technically nobodies for fantasy football. I think it works out great here for Sam Laporta. He fits this mold like a glove. Laporta, sign him up. He is the tight end 5 this year for fantasy football.
Just please, God, keep Ben Johnson on this team for the rest of his life. Pay him as much as you want. Don't let
Yeah.
him leave this offensive system because it is fun.
Yeah, even when Jameson Williams comes back, I'm not worried about Laporta's target share. I think
Not
he's
as
going to-
spicy as the Evan Ingram take last year.
That's
right?
okay. I love
Jameson
it because
Williams, I'm not worried at all.
Because I was told
No.
while I was on vacation that rookie tight ends, and I was talking to my brother-in-law, and I said, this year's class is going to be the exception to the rule. I just feel it deep in my
Yes.
manscaped loins.
plums in the plums.
Yeah, deep in my my freshly shorn manscaped plums, code DHH, that this tight end rookie class between Musgrave, Kincaid, Mayer, and Laporta, and maybe this is a surprise guy that comes out of nowhere. I'm not telling. Yeah, I think this is going to be the exception to the rule. I just feel it this year. So I love the Laporta
I like
take.
it.
I actually made a trade recently to get Laporta on another dynasty team. Ha! Shocker!
He's
Shocker!
your, he's your James Cook. You found your James Cook.
I found.
I
my
made
James
the
Cook.
best trade this week, guys. All right.
There's
We
no
can-
way. I did.
No, I did.
I traded Deshaun Watson at 25th first and Zay Flowers for both Bryce Young and Daniel Jones. You
Well,
got
yeah,
beat.
that's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, if we're comparing, I'll drop it for the
Mine's
fans,
bigger.
and they can
I
leave a
mean-
review.
I mean, I traded
traded-
Donovan Peoples-Jones and Juju for Laporta and a second.
That's pretty damn good too.
In tight end
Well, I guess
preview.
all 3 of us are really good at dynasty because I traded Alexander Madison a second for Jonathan Taylor, baby.
Yes, you did.
Let's
that was
go.
A,
You buy the
traded
dip
top
and
5
flip.
running back.
I traded
You idiot, James.
Tyler's
You
top
so
5 running back.
Idiot.
stupid.
I know. I was like, oh man, I should have waited. I heard
No, the
Tyler's
thing is
hot take. And I was
James
like, oh, I should have held.
No, what James should say is I traded a low price stock. So when it does get up in value, I am shipping that stock off for another 3 50-cent pieces for an 80-cent.
I think I could easily turn that into a low end RB2 and a first round pick when he hits.
So
back on
Alexander
the field.
Madison in the first. You should try to get it back.
I probably could somewhere internally.
Yeah,
Trade
probably.
backsies.
Yeah, this is always one of my favorite episodes of the year. I wanted to thank Dynasty Rich for joining us audibly, not physically, because he didn't like the menu, and that's fine. But no, the only bone I have to pick with Rich with his steaks, he mentioned tomahawk a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's ribeye or die, bro. Like I am all about the ribeye. It's my favorite cut. It is so
No,
good.
no. Damon,
Well, Tomahawk, I'll defend him because he's not here to defend himself, and I'll enlighten you a little bit. A
Okay.
tomahawk is actually a ribeye, only
Okay.
it
It's
is a huge.
Just on the bone.
yeah,
it's a
you get the
massive-
big on the bone.
I don't like that.
And
So
you
like-
cannot
I don't like
have
the
it over
presentation.
medium cooked. If
So-
you cook it over medium, you
If-
waste your money.
if our buddy Damon is listening, he's gonna like this. My favorite steak is filet mignon.
If you said prime rib, I was gonna fly to Minnesota tomorrow
Filet
and drop kick you.
mignon.
The chef's favorite steak is a ribeye fillet. Snake River Farms in Idaho.
All right, we're making a trip
With
to Idaho.
potatoes.
Sponsored by Trophy Smack. Send the boys to Idaho for some ribeye steaks. Let's go. We can vlog it. Vlog it? Vajazzle?
Vlog?
Vlog? It's a
I
video
don't know.
log, right?
Hey,
We're not
people still
we're not
have-
hip
people
enough
Not
still
to
for
say
that.
that I have a
blogs.
log.
People still have blogs.
I mean, I don't know. I thought I was hip. I guess I'm not. I just checked myself.
You're
You know,
mid.
it is what it is.
All right,
So
we're
thank
gonna
you for
stop
joining
blogging
us.
around.
Thank you for Dynasty Rich bringing us his hot steaks. Now I'm hungry. Thanks a lot. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on iTunes. Leave a review and a rating. We would love that. Shout out to all our sponsors. We've got Underdog, Trophy Smack, as well as Manscaped. Make sure you check out dynastynerds.com. They've got an app. Is that out, Tyler, officially?
Yeah, I used it
All right.
today and the day before and the day before. I just like looking at my teams and being like, where do I need to fix a little bit? Where do I need to build?
UDPL team. Oh, they're so good. Oh, I can't wait to win.
Oh, I can't wait to eat your tears, Doug. Oh, they're so
Yeah,
salty.
You're gonna eat my ass.
Because I'm going to win.
If you
James's
do, I throw
eyeball.
my phone and I quit.
I'm calling Durr. As much crap as you guys give me, I'm calling Durr.
Yep. So yeah. So their app is up and running. Make sure you check it out in the Apple iTunes store. Is it on Android as well right now?
Yes.
Awesome. So make sure you type in Dynasty Nerds, find that, download it. Make sure you go on their website. You can become a Nerd Herb subscriber. Use code DHH to save 15% off. Extra episodes, the film room. You can grade your team and compare it to others in your league. It's pretty awesome, the different tools that they have there. So check out dynastynerds.com. Rich and team always doing great work. And again, thank him one more time for joining us. And the most gracious host, and his wife makes the best charcuterie I've ever seen. Still undisputed charcuterie champion of the world.
Charcuterie
A
board.
charcuterie board. It was a large one. It was like a 6-foot great white charcuterie board.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. So shout out again for that.
Tasty coochie.
So this has been the Dynasty Happy Hour. Make sure to set your lineups. The season starts on Thursday.
Woo.
I am very excited to see where my teams are, and by week 5 or 6, figuring out if I'm going to win, if I'm all in, or if I'm out, because that's always the struggle when it comes to Dynasty. We'll see how the season starts. We wish you the best of luck. We will see you next week when we talk about actual freaking games that count.
Let's go.
So excited. Dynasty Happy Hour. We'll see you next week.